Welcome back, everybody. It's another Wednesday night for the Relationship Gumbo Podcast Live Edition. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you share and invite with your friends and family. We have a great show tonight, an amazing guest that's going to help us with this topic. We're going to talk about how your feelings get hurt and how sometimes it lasts a long time and you don't even realize it, and it's damaging. So we're going to get into that a little bit tonight. But like I said, share and invite with your friends and family. We're going to get it in tonight. Make sure that you comment. Let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're chiming in from. And what I'm going to ask of you is to give me about 30 seconds to make sure everything is going where it's supposed to go. We are simulcasting on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope at the same time. So stand by and I'll be right back.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derek Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derek Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship Gumbo, ayy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into it. Like I said before, please share and invite with your friends and family and anybody else you think that may get value from this type of show. We're going to talk about how your feelings sometimes when they get hurt, it's a little more than just that few seconds that you think that hurt lasted. So what I normally do if you're here for the first time is I will pause for 3 seconds. We'll start the podcast. At the end of the podcast, we will pause for another 3 seconds, and then we can have kind of like, if we have enough time, you'll be able to ask more questions. But during the show, please feel free to ask questions, comment, and I'll address them if they're pertinent to the topic. So here we go. Stand by. And welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derek Jones, and I am your host. I'm a certified life coach, an engineer, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And tonight we are talking about hurt feelings and damaged minds. And we're going to talk about what that means with our special guest, Miss Marcia Cummings. She's a friend of the show and she's going to help us out. She's a professional, y'all. So I'm going to let her talk about who she is and what she does. And we're going to get right into the topic. So stand by. Let me bring her up.
Hi.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Hi. I feel like I'm all up in my camera.
You're fine. That's where you're supposed to be.
I know, but you know, I sit in front of my camera all day, and I got a little more distance, so I just sit it back. Hi, everyone.
So tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Oh wow! So I'm Marcia Cummings. I'm a licensed professional counselor in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I've been licensed now 15 years. Actually, this past July, I've been in the field and doing this work for 20 years. So I am aging myself very well here. I preach what I call selfish therapy, that people have to learn to be a little more selfish, to be more present with themselves, as to be more present with others. I'm a co-owner of a Lumen LLC out here in Southern Maryland, right off of Billingsley now, our new office, even though it's just kind of collecting dust right now. And currently a professional telemental health therapist.
Wow. That's a lot. Congratulations on your 15 years.
Thank you.
And we're going to use some of that knowledge tonight.
Or making it up, one or the other.
So let's jump right into it. I titled this Hurt Feelings and Damaged Minds for a reason. People who frequent the show know that I always talk about how our emotions and our feelings, sometimes when they get hurt, and we don't try to resolve them or try to cope with them, that they kind of stick with us for a little while. So some of the topics kind of merge with each other, but I do that for a reason, because I try to hit as many angles of a topic as possible, because somebody who didn't get it before might get it this time. So for me, this is where I want to start. Hurt feelings. I believe, and you can kind of add your professional touch to it or your personal touch to it. But when people talk about you hurt my feelings, sometimes it's like we don't necessarily take it as serious as some of the more egregious stuff. Like you were like, oh, they hurt my feelings. I mean, it's like a little kid. When a little kid said you hurt my feelings, and a lot of times, in my experience, when the kids say you hurt my feelings, a lot of us parents will say, suck it up, or you'll get over it, almost like they got a cut on their finger or something. And we don't. And then when we grow up into adults and we get into relationships, sometimes the person will do something to hurt, and then we're scared to like address it. So what I want to ask you is, are there like defined like reasons why people tend to be really like afraid to talk to the people that they're supposed to love the most?
So it's a few reasons. First and foremost, it's why we dismiss them is that we're uncomfortable with their hurt feelings. So instead of me saying, okay, let me sit down and deal with this or work on this, we're quick to let me dismiss it, because then I don't have to deal with that or my own feelings. We are now a society that does not like to deal with feelings. We want to deal with shopping and Amazon, and that's it, not sit with ourselves or other people's feelings, which then leads to the second point. We don't like to sit with our own feelings. We're quick to want to hide from them, bury them. And so if I can't deal with my own feelings, how can I deal with yours?
Right.
Because if my feelings are hurt, what I'm saying is that whatever you said or you believe of me supersedes what I believe in myself. And so then I have to dismiss that, because then I don't either. My intention wasn't to hurt your feelings, or I meant to hurt your feelings, but I don't want to deal with the aftermath. So it could be a few things, but that's kind of the big umbrella right there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I talk about a lot, because especially like being married and even being in a long-term relationship, and you kind of build a pattern of behavior based on your interactions with the other person. And so like, and especially for men, and there's a lot of women out there that tend to be a little, they try to hide their emotions too, but I'm speaking from the male, from me.
I'm pointing myself, because that's me. My husband is very expressive, and I'm the one that's like.
And we hide it, and we hold it, and we keep it there. And then I believe that when you keep it there, a lot of us, when we feel that it may trigger us in a conversation, we tend to try to avoid it, or we build a pattern of avoiding the behavior, avoiding the trigger. And I guess that's what people do with a lot of different types of triggers, is they build in a mechanism where they avoid it. And then what ends up happening is that you tend to lose a part of yourself that kind of is free to express by doing that. But you're in love, and this is the person you're supposed to be, your friend and your hubby and your wife. And I'm going to tell you everything.
With him.
Yeah. And it's like, but not really. And then when you multiply that out over like a decade of avoidance, who are you?
Right. But then you also have to look at the attachment styles. I don't know if you're familiar with those. Right. And so I grew up in a household. My mom is very avoidant attached. My father is anxious avoidant attached. Mm-hmm. So to give a quick rundown, the avoidant, basically things get too heavy, they run. The avoidant anxious, they're all in, they run. They're all in, they run. So that's the quick. So I myself used to not pride myself, but I identified as a complete avoidant, but then I can look back and really see where I was avoidant, anxious, attached. And so some relationships I was all in and couldn't see breathing without them. And other ones, as soon as they would show me any kind of emotion, it was like, ooh, I'm out. Ooh, damn, my mom paging me, it was paging. That shows you how long ago I was dating. Well, my mom paging me, I got to go.
Right.
So I don't know if it's a lack of love, but we don't know how to express that love. If we weren't given space to express that love, then again, how do we know what to do with it or how to effectively express it? So it's easier to hide from it. My husband and his family are like, they are so affectionate and loving. And I remember coming in and they want to hug and kiss. I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Can't y'all just like high five? And if they're watching this, they're probably like, yeah, that's Marcia. But they've warned me. And then my karma was to have a child who was affectionate.
Yep.
And so between her and my husband, Derek, I've had be pushed out of my comfort zone, which is a good thing because I understand the importance of, like, I understood it as a therapist, but as a human, it was not something I got. Like, my father was very affectionate, my mother was not, and I kind of leaned more on my mother's side. So we have to look at that. Or if we've been burned, so if we're not even looking at our attachment styles, which are developed in childhood, let's look at adulthood. You're like you said, you're all in love, and that one person just crushes your soul. So you feel, and then the next person comes in, and they really are the love of your life. But now you've shut down because we don't process. Again, we just bounce into the next relationship. I'm amazed when people tell me like 2 months later they're in a relationship. I even had a friend. He was engaged. The engagement would be on and off, and I remember always telling them it's not going to work because. She creeping. I'm gonna be honest. She creeping.
Yeah.
Break up with you to go to Miami. She creeping.
Yeah.
Met this girl 2 months later, and in a year they're engaged. And I was like, it's too soon. I'm trying to tell you. He just like, oh, you're jealous. I'm like, I'm not jealous. I'm good. But if that's what you, and sure enough, it fell apart. And I never said I told you so, but if he's watching.
Yeah, you know, in a lot of the stuff I'm gonna say tonight, you can correct me, but these are the things that I've encountered, and they may have titles that I don't know that it's called. But
okay,
when I
let me get my
list. So yeah, don't put me on the couch tonight. We're gonna be here for a long time. so. Like for me personally, like the emotional intelligence to be able to express that, like that's a new thing for me. Even in my 40s now, like most of my life, I was the avoidant. Like, let me figure out the best way not to go down that path again, and I would be an expert at ducking in. And then the other partner would think everything's cool because I made it comfortable for them to not trigger me again. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. But inside, I'm stacking all of this stuff from each, thing, and I'm pushing it to the side, and I'm like, that doesn't exist. Everything's cool. So that's that.
I'm gonna put my wall up, but I'm gonna peek out every once in a while, just so you know I'm there and I care. But let me hide. But we also look at our friendships too, because that attachment style goes into all of our relationships. And so if we look at even our friendships and how we engage our friendships, like I remember at a point in time, I was everyone's best friend. Like I remember hearing, oh, Marcia's like one of my best friends. And I'm like, you don't know shit about me. Mm-hmm. But okay. But I realized because I appeared to be sharing so much of myself that I made people comfortable, and they shared everything about themselves. They assumed the same with me, which I really wasn't. But like you said, I made them comfortable enough that they thought I was.
Right. And so to kind of touch on the damaged minds part of this, what does that do to a person when you have to hold that to try to placate someone else over time? Like, how does that change the whole to me, I think it changes the trajectory on your behavior, like how you even interact with people. It's kind of like you start to lose who you are a little bit.
Well, honestly, I don't think you ever get a sense of who you are.
I agree.
Because sorry, my dogs are obsessed with a groundhog in my backyard, and of course, they just came downstairs to the door to see the groundhog.
They want to be a part of the show.
They're ratters, so they kill rodents, and they've already killed one groundhog. I had to fight them for an hour for a groundhog.
Right.
Excuse me, Shiva. Shh. Sorry about that, but
no problem.
So first of all, you don't even know who you are because you're still basing it off of what someone else made you believe, taught you to believe, or even the negative dialogue you have with them. So you don't even know who you are because you're on survival mode. You're protecting yourself. I'm protecting myself from getting hurt. So you don't even know what life is out beyond survival.
Yep.
So the first thing is never knowing a sense of who you are. You almost become something for everyone.
Yeah, that is true.
You give a little bit of or they never really get the full you. They get just enough of you to, like you said, to make them feel good.
Yeah.
but they never get you fully. So no one ever really knows you. You have no connection to yourself or anyone else. The damage is you're constantly in your head. So you never get to be present. You never really get to enjoy what's happening around you. You're often worried about the future. So you're just kind of on edge. And these folks you're going to find, and trust me, I'm speaking from experience, these are the folks who are always tense here because they're always preparing for the bottom to fall.
Yep. And so, and then what I always talk about with people who have to live like that, you find a lot of these people finding other ways to kind of where they feel like they're purging the pain or the hurt, like the drinking, and they gotta find freedom outside the home.
This is where you find your addictive behavior. This is where you're going to find your always looking for the grass being greener in another yard. This is where you're always looking for something to bring back that excitement, because honestly, relationships get old. When we first start dating, I always say this to my firefighters when I do group, everybody put on their good draws. Women got the matching bra and draws to match. She always sexy. Dudes' draws are just perfect. But then when we get comfortable, you get the period grandma draws. Y'all elastic is shot. Y'all just pinning it up, got holes in your draws. And so then those folks, the damage is they start damaging other people because they're always looking for something new. They're always, I need a new girlfriend, I need a new boyfriend, I need a new car, I need some kind of excitement because as long as things are on, they're good. And then you have those folks, I always say they're undercover depressed, where when everything's smooth, they're all right. They're not bad, but they may not be completely good. But the moment the most minute thing happens, they hit bottom immediately. It can be very minor. And it's because again, they've never connected to themselves and really no one else, not even their own children. And this is when I tell my clients, they're half-assing it. They're half-assing it as partners, half-assing it as parents. You're just half-assing it. And so to be fully present, the first step is learning to live.
Yeah.
Because these folks have never lived.
Yeah. It's, I won't say it's sad, but it's hard to live like most of your life knowing that you haven't really given, because it's hard to give all of you to someone in that way. You know what I mean? Like the emotional side of you, the part, and especially like with men, we just always want to, well, it's 2020. A lot of us want to be strong and have like a strong presence. And we don't, and I talk about this all the time about how a lot of us don't even know how. We weren't, the examples we had kind of suck.
and men were taught, you got to toughen up, you got to suck it up, you got to be, you've got to be the head of the household. And that's why I always laugh, because that's how I was raised. My mom was like, you don't cry, you don't show emotion, no tears, you shake it off. I remember going to the hospital once. My mom was like, yeah, I guess you're just not strong like me. And I'm like, I can't stop pooping. That's a problem. So, I mean, we have to realize when we've been raised to not express, and that somehow emotions are weakness, how are you going to find strength in it? Or how do you even know there's strength in it? Because we do know it's strength in it, but how do you know if you've never been given that opportunity? You're not going to go from that kind of environment to then jump into this new environment and be like, okay, I'm all cotton ball and rainbows. You're going to be like, nah.
Right. It's hard to hide for so long, and then, but you want to be in something, so you choose to be in a relationship or a marriage, and you have your kids and all this, but it's still that part that can't share, and then it's like, and then like I said before, you find other ways to try to fill it, but it's still painful. Like if you're in a relationship and your partner yells at you.
Right.
And it didn't feel good. And you can't say like that tone. You can't do that because you got to keep and so the other person doesn't know that. So they might yell at you again.
Right.
And it just keeps going.
Especially if you shut down and just look like you don't care. Then it's easy to kind of shut down. They're like, it doesn't bother her. It doesn't bother him. And then they come to you and say, you're like, oh, damn. My bad.
A lot of times with a lot of men that I talk to, what we do, instead of addressing it, we'll find the quickest way to end we'll be like, all right, you got it. Yep, let's go ahead and get it done so we can move on. But it's
then the problem is you repeat it.
Yes.
And it's like I said, that's not meant. I was cool with that. I was like verbal jujitsu. I'd twist that thing around, make it, it's you, or I'd bring some old stuff up to distract from that, or I would do whatever. Or like you said, I just like, all right, you're right, I'm wrong. And then like months later, do the same shit again. I'm like, damn it. Oh.
And that's it's so freeing to be able to share that with the person, to share how you feel, even if it's a hard conversation with the person that you're supposed to, this is the love of your life, you got the ring on and all that. And it's like, but I can't talk to you about the stuff that I really care about. In a lot of cases, you don't have to tell everything.
Well, remember, the fear is being dismissed. So if I tell you I care, if I tell you that I hurt my feelings, you won't care. You'll dismiss. Basically, if I show you don't like what you see,
right,
that I'm not as tough as I present, that I'm not as sensitive, or whatever it is that you're hiding behind, that I'm not really that person, then that's scary. And so, of course, yes, we want to hide, we want to run. But then imagine when you, like you said, how freeing it is when you are able to let that go and realize how important it is, and being affectionate, just to say that hurt my feelings, that bothered me.
Yeah. And that's why I think a lot of times people find, what's the word I'm looking for? Counsel, and they have these deep conversations with like strangers that they can't even have at home because they don't have. But that can be good and bad because that's the door to temptation.
Okay, well, so therapy stops it at that point.
Right. No, not therapy. I'm just saying.
I'm joking. But no, right.
I don't want to get it confused.
Right. So, but then it's also the intention. Am I going in because I just want your empathy? Because if you empathize for me, then you want to take care of me and make me feel better. Then, there's a problem. But if I'm going in to be heard, and also I know that person will call me on my bullshit, then then I swear that's the difference. And
the unfortunate truth is your significant other may not be the person who can really understand what the information you're delivering. And you may have to figure out either and this is my, just experience, you're going to either have to figure out a way to communicate where the other person can really digest it, or you're going to have to go have that conversation either with a therapist or a counselor or something like that to try to figure out like, how does this work? Because they don't really get me.
Right. And also the problem that can become, if they've gotten away with not having to deal with your emotions for so long, they actually may be comfortable with that. And then suddenly you now become expressive, and now you want to share, and now you're holding boundaries that you didn't hold. And they're like, oh no, I don't like this person.
Yeah, I talk about that. I talk about that a lot actually, because when you fall in love with someone who loves the version of you that is hiding all of that stuff, when you start to now try to share the stuff, they're like, whoa, who is this? Who is this person? That's not the person they actually, that's why I was talking about people who are dysfunctional. And then someone comes in and they fall in love with the dysfunctional version of you.
Because then they want to
have that epiphany.
They want to fix you. They want to make you feel better. And there's a poem that I always read to clients that are in that position, because I will warn some people, especially they're coming to therapy for themselves, but they're coming for a couple. I'm like, here's the problem. You'll either work out or you'll divorce. So I need you to be prepared for either or, because everyone will not appreciate who you become.
Yes.
And so, and I've seen it happen on both sides. They got closer in their marriage, or their marriage fell apart. And that's why now I warn them, if they come and they start talking about couples issues, I'm like, okay, but here's the problem. I'm only talking to you. I'm only working with you. My job is to help you feel better. In that, if your partner is not prepared for you to feel better and do better, they are not going to be happy with you or me.
Yeah.
And I actually just sort of one time, I haven't seen them in like 10 years, but I remember that it got so bad in my office with them. I kicked him out my office, the husband.
Wow.
I was like, you can get out. You wasting my time. Oh, I don't play in my office. I feel like if I pay for that space, you can't be crazy in my office, or be crazy at me in my office.
Yeah, I'm gonna address a couple of comments here. Spin City on Facebook says emotional intelligence is sexy. Michelle Ford from Facebook says, yes, I have had someone tell me that my feelings were BS because he didn't want to take accountability in the part he played in the problem, then didn't understand why I stopped telling him things. Why would I share my feelings if they are dismissed as BS? That's huge.
That's right. But it is. That's why I said, even as adults, if someone shoots my feelings down, you don't have to agree. That's the thing. You don't have to agree. But the moment you dismiss my feelings, Michelle, I'm the same. I'm going to shut down, because at that point it's like, okay, you don't need to hear me anymore. So then when you don't hear me anymore, then it's like, well, why don't you talk to me? Well, I mean, you shut me down, so obviously you didn't want to hear what I had to say. Now I don't have a problem now. Now I won't shut up. My husband's probably like, man, I miss that quiet Marcia. But so we don't give space, and then that person will be upset, like, it's you, it's not me. I'm not the issue that I dismiss your feeling. It's you.
Right.
And so even if the relationship ends, then they still blame it on that instead of owning that I wasn't present for that person's emotions.
And that right there illustrates the umbrella of the tone of in the reason why I picked this topic is when you feel like your feelings are dismissed, now you don't feel like that's a safe place for you to share. Mm-hmm. What do you do with it? Like, it's almost
well, that's a whole nother therapy session that I end up having to have. Like, I'm like, God damn it, you're making me work hard today. Like, couldn't you just gotten a dog, gotten a purse that was too expensive? Like, I can work with that. So I mean, we partner up, and so if I'm not getting it at home, I'm going to get it somewhere.
Yes.
And I know that no one wants to hear that, but that is facts. It shows up in my office all the time. Now, does not necessarily mean you are going to physically cheat, but this is where our emotional cheating comes in. Because if emotionally I can get something from someone else, it fills that need, that void. Yep. So then, honestly, I don't have to deal with you not listening because I got this other ear.
Right.
That's why you just
And I always talk about how when we have to wear that mask in our home, that when we leave the house, the world gets to see the real us. Yeah. And that's almost like dopamine high.
Yep. Yeah.
In that, it's
I get to go to work because my cubicle partner is listening and caring and loving and just gives me all the advice I need, and always there to open the door, and something that I'm not getting from my boyfriend. Well, you're treading on thin water there. And so now I get up excited to go to work, and I'm going out of my way because I'm getting that emotional need. Problem with that, then at least increases the chances of the physical needs joining in.
Right. Yep. It's definitely that's why my whole purpose in even doing what I do, and I'm sure part of what you do too, is to try our hardest to stop some of these train wrecks before they turn into nuclear explosions.
I've even had
because a lot of times.
I'm sorry. I've even had to tell couples, don't get married. And as a therapist, we're not supposed to tell people what to do, but literally I've had to say, don't get married. Y'all are not ready. If you're telling me all these red flags, why are you getting married? You know what? Lose the $1,000 because you're going to end up losing $50,000 at the end of this. And so, I mean, sometimes, and even we also I have to tell people, before you connect with anyone else, let's work on you connecting to yourself first. Then worry about your relationships. Then worry about your family and friendships. But right now, you can't even work with you. How are you going to work with anyone else?
Right. Yeah. Well, let me get these two comments. Michelle Ford says, same here, no shutting down anymore. Spin City says, I don't shut down anymore either. I'm quick to set boundaries and protect my peace by all costs. Yeah. Exactly. That's why I made this peace of mind over everything. If I don't have that, I'm no good.
Right. No, but that's the thing. if and so people often are looking for peace or peace of mind in, it's going to be this namaste moment, yoga, meditation, which I do all of that. No, that kind of peace is bullshit. That's peace.
You are right.
It's peaceful. Your true peace is going to come in chaos when shit is falling apart, and literally you're like, I'm all right. It's going to work out for me. This is not where I want to be, but I'm going to be good. That's true peace.
Right.
But again, we only tap that from within. And often in these cases, we're looking, it is my husband's responsibility to make me completely happy. And when he fails at that job, then there's something wrong with him, not me. Or there's something about me that he just can't make me happy, instead of realizing my true, genuine, authentic happiness can only come from me. My husband's job is to add to my happiness. My daughter's job is to add to my happiness, but it's not their job to make me happy.
Yeah, I always tell people there's a certain amount of love you reserve for your significant other, but that's not all of you.
No.
And people think I'm giving him my all, every fiber of my being. When you do that, what do you have left?
My husband, I'm gonna give him a good 80.
It's one of those things that we see on TV, and we think that, when you tell somebody I'm giving you every piece of my entire being,
right,
that you got to keep most of it for you. Not even a little. You can't. It's not about keeping a little bit. Most of it goes to you.
Yeah. So here's
supposed
the thing.
to.
Here's truth. I am stuck with me for the rest of my life. My husband can get up tomorrow and go get himself a little young thing. He can be like, F this, I'm done. You crazy, I'm out. And he's probably contemplated it, but he also know, again, that crazy piece exists. So it's tough. But my daughter is 20. The only reason she's in this house right now is because of COVID. Otherwise, she was living her best 20-year-old life.
Right.
They can leave me. My dogs love me. They can run away. I have to enjoy my own company. I'm stuck with me for life. I better enjoy the company I keep. I'm a one-woman show. I will crack myself up. Hell, I can have a conversation in my head and crack myself up in the store, and people probably like, what is she laughing at? I'm like, I'm having a good dialogue right now. Y'all ain't know. Like, we have to be able to love and take care of ourselves. And that comes also in setting our boundaries, speaking when we need to speak. If you have to take a step back and kind of process what it is you're feeling. Because too often when we're expressing things, we're focused on the situation. We're not looking at the emotions. And that's the other problem. We avoid our emotions because we judge our emotions. They're bad or good. Emotions are neither. They are negative, they are positive, but they're not bad or good. They're just emotions. So the perfect example, my husband would always forget to take the trash out. And this when Sky was young. So, I got my backpack because I'm working on my master's, got my diaper bag, my kid. I don't want to carry the trash out too. But he would always forget. And it would drive me, and I would get so upset. And this happened for such a long time. And one day I had to sit back and like, why does it bother me? It's damn trash. When I realized it wasn't the trash, I felt ignored. I felt what I had to say wasn't important. And then when I expressed that to him, literally he was just like, I just forget. I'm rushing in the morning. So think about, I'm already all these emotions, this anger, and literally it was just that simple. I'm like, God damn it. And he still forgets the trash sometimes. But I know it has nothing to do with what I have to say isn't important. It's just he forgets. Now,
I think it's in the male DNA, I think, a little bit.
So I can get annoyed, but I don't get that angry. But to be able to express how important it was to be acknowledged and heard was what the issue was. So sometimes we have to take a step back and even process it so we know exactly what it is we need to express. It's not the situation, it's the emotions the situation elicits. Then we have to be comfortable with those emotions, and then then express it.
Yeah.
And then have a partner who's willing to hear it too. That's an important piece.
And I find there's a lot of people that don't even know. I would even probably say most people don't even know how to even process things like that. Mm-hmm. Like it takes a lot of patience, understanding, and the willingness to listen on both sides. That's the key. Both sides got to want it at the same time.
Well, first you got to want it for yourself. You got to be patient with your own self to express it, to want someone else to be patient. Also, you have to know your audience. Depending on so there are certain people in my life that I know if I express myself to, I can literally show them a video put a TV up, put a video up of that television with them on it with their social security number and name and tell them what they did. They'll be like, it wasn't me.
I know these people.
Right. And literally, I could do all of that and they would literally still be like, not me. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, you got me mixed up. And I'm like, but there's the video right there. I got it. I got this. And they're like, nope. So I'm not going to put too much energy into them hearing me out. I'm still going to express myself, but I'm just going to express myself to be heard. I'm not expressing myself to be understood because, again, remember, they're going to duck and dodge. Then there are folks who are open to hear it, and those are the ones I'm going to really go in with that expectation. So you also have to know your audience. Some people just don't want to hear it. And you know what? It's their prerogative, but you will still hear my truth. You don't have to agree.
Right. And so I have a small question for you, because we've heard this from people like for generations and generations, and I want you to tell me how what it really means and if it's even necessary to do this. But people always say, and I'm talking about in romantic relationships, I pick and choose my battles. Is that something that we should, like, is it a healthy thing to pick and choose your battles, or should you kind of try to be, or is it levels to it?
I don't know if you saw my face when you asked that one. So I'm not looking to be politically correct. I'm just trying to think this one out. So everything doesn't have to be a battle. So I guess that's the first thing.
There it is. Yep.
So you've got to look at that. Everything doesn't have to be a battle. So before I went in ready for battle, if I go in for battle, I'm going in defensive. I'm going in not to hear or listen to someone else. I'm going in to be heard, and that's it. So lose the battle mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I am going in now to express myself. And I'm not looking for a reaction. I'm looking for a response.
Right.
And so I'm going to pick and choose what I'm going to express. So if I process something and I realize, okay, I just need a nap, I'm tripping, I'm not going to talk about that. Because if I'm hungry or sleepy, I'm not nice. So I'm gonna wait until I take the nap to know, was it the nap or was it me? Or was it him? Or my friend,
right.
or whoever.
Right.
And then if I'm uncertain about it, I may not express it right away because I need to understand where it's coming from. So it's not about picking and choosing. Everything's not a battle.
Mm-hmm.
But if I find that it is something that has to be expressed, it will be expressed. If it's something that I'm just tripping, just having a bad day, and I know my husband. My husband's a jerk. So I know he'll say certain things. He can be a little too blunt some days, and I'm having a sensitive day because I'm not that. I'm sensitive, non-sensitive kind of person. I can be having a sensitive moment. I have to take a step back and say, isn't he? Now, if I'm really feeling like I need to express it, I will. For instance, when I learned that my husband had not heard an episode of my podcast, I was like, actually, in my head, I was thinking, this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell him that. And luckily he can't see this, so I can say that. But don't nobody on there be snitching. But then it realized I was disappointed in him. And I sat there for a minute. I think he's seen on my face because I was processing as I'm staring at him, trying to figure out how am I going to express this. And he says, all right, I'm pulling up now. And he did, because he apologized. He says, since you're always talking about it and I hear you recording it, I didn't think to listen to it. And I was like, you will torture yourself and you will listen to my voice on your phone and in person. Right. That was it. That's all I had to say.
So, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So this brings another question to mind. When we talk about couples, and it could be friendships, any other kind of relationship too, where a lot of times we expect people to champion the things we want, that we champion the way that we want them to be the same. We want them to be us. Right. We want you to react the same way I react. And when you don't, I get hurt. And then when I'm hurt.
Oh, I just had this conversation today.
And then I go off on you.
Right. So unfortunately, my husband is required to support everything. That's just, right. That's just fact. So anybody disagree with that might work in your household. In my household, he's got to champion everything. No.
Right.
But no, I used to think that. I used to think my friends should listen to every podcast, support every business, buy every bracelet, whatever it was. And did that ever happen? No. What I came to realize that people support what they want to support. That's it. Now that doesn't mean I don't get a little disappointed sometimes, especially if it's some of my closer friends, because they know how I am. But then I also understand everybody don't want to hear what I have to say. Everybody doesn't want to hear what I'm doing or see what I'm doing or whatever the case may be. No, everyone doesn't want to do yoga.
Right.
And that's okay. But as long as they say good job, right? As long as they like, you know what, you're doing it, Merce. I can live with that. Like, and it's saying, plenty of our friends have different businesses. I try to buy a shirt, try to buy stuff, but some days the way my bank account is set up that the finances just aren't present in that moment to support. But I will post. Right. So I mean, no, I try to support as much as I can and within reason. And I guess whoever support, and honestly, I don't ask like, hey, did you listen to my podcast? I don't. I just tell them, oh man, I did this really good interview. You should check it out. And I just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's all you can do. I just find that, you know, a lot of times people have, I don't know if you call them triggers, but like when somebody doesn't follow the same thought pattern that you have, like if you're in a relationship and it's like, you know, I'm mad that, you know, the guy didn't cut the grass today. And then you could be just chilling, be like, okay, you'll handle it next week. And like, you not mad too? And it's like, wait, hold on. Hold on. And it's like, wait. I'm not you. I'm mad on the inside.
Well, we do that a lot. Like you said, I expect you to be me.
Right.
If I'm mad at Joanne Bob, then you should be mad at Joanne Bob.
Right.
And that's not how it works. Like, I'm me and you're you. And so the coworker and I were talking, and he was saying, I said, too often we put ourselves on other people. We assume everyone should react to things, feel the same, or do things the way we do at work, at home, our spouses. And they can't. They're complete different individuals. Now, what that means is I can either accept that about them or I can stop dealing with them. That's really it. Yeah. So I know there's a certain way I approach things. There's a certain way I approach something as death. I've dealt with a lot of death in my life. So I process it a little faster in certain circumstances than a lot of my friends. And sometimes I've had to take a step back and recognize that, like, I got to give people their time in grief. I can't assume everyone's time will look like mine. Right. And taking that step back, or just, I may have this work ethic, but I can't assume everyone else has the same work ethic. It would be nice if they did in certain circumstances. But then I just remind myself, stay in your lane, do what you do.
So as we start to go in the downslope of the show here, because we're getting close to an hour, the question that I have and that a lot of people have is, because a lot of us I always say we all got our own stuff with us. Yep. It just looks a little different. But when people start to realize I'm being triggered by this, or I'm behaving in a way that may not be healthy for me, what are some of the first tips that you can give of how they can start to move towards either A, like doing little tweaks or things that they can do to kind of center themselves, or B, start the process of trying to seek help from someone like you, or, you know, right, a professional?
So I think everyone should go to counseling. However, everyone doesn't want to. The first step, I tell everyone, you've got to acknowledge the emotions and feelings. That is, and as simple as it sounds, that is literally the hardest thing in therapy. When people are telling me what's going on, well, what are you feeling? They keep telling me their thoughts. I'm like, no, I got your thoughts. Give me your feelings. What is it? Anger? Is it? No, I'm just, no. I need, there is power in giving that a name. When we give our emotions a name and we understand its source, then we can start process. Like you said, what are some of the triggers? It's when my husband is not taking the trash out. Why is that so important? That's the situation. But what am I feeling? Okay, well, I'm feeling disappointed. What I have to say isn't important. It makes me feel sad, whatever it is. Okay. So what is the real issue? I don't like how this makes me feel. And literally having this, write it down. I always tell people I'm tangible, write it down. In your head, you're going to create a mess because in your head, you're going to do all and then go, ooh, squirrel.
Right.
Oh, I got to pay this bill. So you don't give yourself time to process it and then be willing to express it. When I really started working on how to express myself, because I could tell all my clients how to, I was horrible at it. I would literally have bullet points. I would literally be like, okay, here are my bullet points. Here's what I need to express. This is what's going on. And read from it. And as crazy as it looked and sounds, it helped me to be more present with my emotions and not to get overwhelmed with my emotions and stick to them. And that way I didn't try to pull this from the right or this from the left. I stuck to what the actual issue was. Mm-hmm. And that's what's important. Also, if I'm going to work to express my emotions, I want to start with the people I'm safest with first. So, of course, I started with my husband. I started with my daughter. I then expanded to my father, my aunt, eventually my mom, and so on. And some of these folks were open and willing to hear me. Some were dismissive. I expressed my truth, but I also knew my audience. So it goes back. I knew my audience. So I knew who would hear me out. I knew who would dismiss me. Mm-hmm. And so there were no surprises for me. That doesn't mean it didn't bother me, but it still wasn't like this overwhelming sense of grief because it was like, yeah, I expected her to do that. Yeah, I expected him to do that. And then I'm trying to think of what was the issue I actually presented to my family. My hair texture. That was the very first issue. In my 20s, I actually went natural once before. And because I'd done a lot of self-esteem work in therapy, the last frontier was my hair. I grew up in a mixed family. I was teased relentlessly for my hair texture. They all had long, wavy, curly hair. I had long, thick afro hair. And I love and appreciate it now. Thank you, Daddy. Appreciate all them kinks and curls. Thank you. If you're out there, thanks, Dad. And so when I cut it off, I remember first cutting it off, it was longer than this. It was this short as I've ever had it. And I remember just being shocked looking in the mirror when my hairdresser did it, like, oh shit, what did I do? And then how people reacted. A lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you not like my own hairs? But it forced me to really look at it and then talk to my aunts and my mom and my cousins, my sister, and how they made me feel about my hair. Of course, some were like, well, I was just joking. But I'm like, yeah, but when you're a kid, you don't know that. When you're hearing, God, your hair, so kinky, it's so nappy, it's this and that. And you're hearing the frustration in doing my hair, or I'm being loud out the house with my hair all over my head because you just don't want to be bothered with it. Well, so once I was able to do that, it was easier then to go beyond that. And hair seemed simple, but it weighed so heavy with me. And I learned to love my hair because of that. And I did relax it again. And then 4 years ago, chopped it all off again. And that time I didn't have any issue. It was no build up to it. Literally, I just went in and was like, yeah, just cut it out. I don't know what I want to do next. But all that was possible because of that work I did in my 20s. So that's why I said, pick something small but big, if that makes sense, and work on that. And then as you get comfortable with that, you can then start hitting the bigger things, the harder things.
Yeah. Because I always try to tell people, because, a lot of time, and you know this because of what you do, people will say things like, I got a lot of stuff to work on and I don't have time to work on it, because they're looking at it as like this big monolith thing that they have to solve all at once. And, just in life, and same thing I tell to my daughter about anything she had, like, you got to take it in little chunks because you'll never do it. It's just like
we have time. Here's the problem.
Right.
If you are on this thing, you got time. Like, you got talk space where you can text, you have online account. Like, there are too many options. Everyone has time. We are afraid to see ourselves. And
let me tell you about that screen time on the iPhone. Whew. If you swipe and see that.
Yeah, I don't even look anymore. It's less than what it was, but still. And half the time I'm not looking. Unless something touches my eye. But there is always time. Yeah, so we have time. We can journal for 15 minutes. I do journal prompts every month. I've just started them back up again. Like, we have time. We just choose not to give ourselves time.
Yeah, that's true. And it's really about what's important to you. Are you important to you? Because like I always tell people on my show, I never really made myself important. It was about me taking care of everybody around me. And then at the end, I would have nothing left. And now, but I would act like it was cool.
That's what I call super save a hoe syndrome. And I talk to a lot of this in my group with firefighters, because we will pour into others. We will motivate. We will love into them. We want them to feel something we never felt. And we will feed ourselves shit.
Yep. And it's tough.
Yep.
It's tough to not be that way when you've been that way for so long. But then when you actually take the time, it's hard, because Alicia has to tell me this all the time. Like, look, dude, sit down and take time for yourself. Today is going to be self-care day. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop.
That's Alicia, and
I have to be reminded sometimes, because I'm always like, okay, I got to make sure my parents are okay. I got to make sure my daughter's okay. I got to make sure work is cool, make sure everybody's cool. And then it's time to go to bed. And then it's rinse and repeat. Right. And I think that's how a lot of us are.
Healers are all like that.
Yeah. And it's like when you have these schedules and family, kids, all this other kind of stuff going on, how could you ever find time to work on your mental health? Like, when do you fit it in? And it's like, how? I don't know what to do. And I know I got to be depressed, and I know I have anxiety, but when do I start to heal? That's like the plight of like a lot of people right now.
There is time. And that's, for instance, when we were going to work, I had evening hours for that reason. And I did Saturday mornings. I've finally stopped Saturdays. I don't have the energy for it anymore. But that's why we have evening hours, and not just myself, but other therapists, because we understand people feel like they don't have time. Mm-hmm. But now with me, and I was doing some online counseling, so I see people at their lunchtime. I would get up early and do sessions. This morning I did a session. I forgot I had a session scheduled and did it in my bed. I at least brushed my teeth and had my pajamas on. I had the phone up high, but
right.
And I'm sure they could tell it was a nice shirt, but I was like, it got done. So if I can put the money into the latest sunglasses and purse, I can put the money into myself. If I can put the time into my phone at 7:00, I can do it. Like I said, now you have these different apps and Talkspace and BetterHelp where you can text. I'm a Talkspace therapist. I know and my folks will hit me up all sorts of times, and I usually hit them up in the evenings, certain days of the week, and then during the day. So it is possible to make time for yourself. And now with that convenience, so you can't say you don't have time. You're choosing not to have time because it's scary. The scariest thing is to have to look at ourselves in the mirror, to look at ourselves in our rawness, not just new, but in our rawness. That is absolutely terrifying, because healing isn't this beautiful thing. It's not this journey where you're going to just yoga and let me do this and and chant. None of that. No, it is ugly beautiful. It is ugly at first. It is nasty. It's ugly Kim Kardashian cry, and then the beauty comes up out of it.
Yeah. And what I always try to tell people on the show, and just talking to people, coaching, doing all that, is when you take that time to kind of find out more about yourself, more about the things you may need to heal from, and then you actually give them names and you start working on it, then you find that you start to make some better decisions. Mm-hmm. Some paths that you probably were going to go on, you may go left instead of right, especially in relationships and just picking people based on, and people
drop off because they no longer fit that energy space. But then you invite new, better energy.
And it's like when you get to that place and you know what you will and won't deal with, and you know that you have your boundaries and you can kind of like live in that space, then you start to hear less. Everybody ain't nobody around here. Everybody's bad and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. That sounds like something else is going on. And you need to find some peace within yourself so that everything that comes out your mouth isn't negative. All of that stuff transfers out, you manifest that stuff.
Oh yeah. But the other thing that happens is that you say no more. You set those boundaries. as a therapist, everyone reaches out, friends and family, when they're having an issue. And I had to realize in my super saver hole syndrome is that, on Sunday, I don't want to be a therapist. So Sundays, don't call me with an issue. I'm not interested. My clients know you're welcome to text, but I will not respond. You can call and leave a message. I will not respond. Sunday is my day. Setting certain times that I will not respond to text for myself, for clients. Also telling my friends if I'm not in the mood to hear a problem. It's not that I don't care, but I may not be in the headspace. And I'm not going to force myself to listen, because then I'm not really listening. I'm just worried you hurry up. Whereas I may say, let me talk to you tomorrow because I'll feel better then. So we have to be able to set these boundaries. You can connect better to people because they're getting the best of me. They're not getting the half-ass of me. They're getting the best of me because I'm the best to myself.
Yeah.
And so we connect better, not just to ourselves. We connect better to people. We connect better to our clients. We connect better to everything that we're a part of, because the most important thing and person you're connected to is the self, my emotions, the emotional intelligence, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback what you were saying on earlier, for those who are listening, we're right now is like the 2020 with all the technology we have, help is more flexible and accessible than it ever has been. Mm-hmm. And so the excuses that we've had all of these years go away. You don't have like if you can't text, if you can't pull up an app in a crunch, then and you have your phone right here all day. It's about priorities. Yeah. It's about priorities. It's very seldom you see somebody that don't have, they're driving their car and they're like this. Right. Like
I learned to talk time the other day when she got on, and I was like, wait, I've had clients in the car. I was like, are you driving? It's like, yeah, I didn't want to miss our appointment. I had to drop my. I was like, no. Let's reschedule to tomorrow. I cannot have you driving and doing this.
Yeah.
But she wasn't not going to miss her. So she said, because I knew you would fuss at me, and I have a late cancellation fee too. And I was like, you're good. I understand this was, an emergency. Please take your car in. We will talk. Yeah. I'll let you know what time I'm available tomorrow. And that was it.
Yeah. So as we've been getting to wrap the show up, because somebody City said something earlier. She said, no, we want more show. we're gonna have Marcia back for sure. Because it's a lot of topics out here that need to be covered, and it's a lot of people out here that need to hear it from different voices, and so you can connect. I always talk about my show, Marcia's podcast, Marcia's practice, and people out there that are genuinely concerned in helping heal minds, heal hearts, and these type of things. When you view us, when you hear us, the purpose is for someone to either hear or see themselves, or some family members say, aha, that might be what it is. Let me go try to look at it deeper. And that's the end game, is to try to get you to get that point where you're like, wow, like something might be wrong. Like I had a guy on the show a while ago. It's not like, it was part of the show, so it's public information. But he said, he's 40, 47, 48, and all of his, relationships were kind of squandered, and he had lost his mom when he was 18, and he never mourned her. So all of his behavior was kind of piggybacking off of that. And it's like, like he was saying along his life, he knew that there were probably women that he probably could have ended up with, but he self-sabotaged them because he never was able to kind of give himself to the relationship.
Exactly.
And that was huge. That was huge for me to hear that from him, because that meant from the age of 18 all the way to 47, you've been carrying that with you.
Right. And most of us have. That's the thing. So many of us have carried it with decades. It's very few clients that are just, it's a couple of years. It's usually decades that I'm working against, or helping them working. I shouldn't say I'm working. They're doing the work that we're working against. And because we don't have, like you said it, we don't have time. We don't have space. We don't have, I've got kids. I've got to get home and cook dinner. I've got this, I've got that. And I'm like, but if you went shopping, then you can do it. If you've been on your phone ignoring your kids for an hour, you can come in.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up, because we can do this for another hour probably.
We really could.
You both like to talk. I want you to, and we'll put your contact information in the show notes, and I'll probably also put it in the comments too. Someone's asking what's the name of your podcast. I know you've been doing some restructuring.
Yes. So it is on hold right now, but it's called Counseling, Conversations, and Motivation. But the name will be changing. But go ahead and subscribe now. Listen to some of the old episodes. I think they're still empowering, but hopefully I'm jumping back on in September. Of course, you got to get all the marketing and all that stuff done. So, and it'll have a fresh new name and it'll be more me. So I have that. Also, like I said, co-owner of a private practice in Waldorf, and it's called Illumine LLC, ILLUMINE LLC. And actually, it's the website illuminellc.org. Or if you want to just reach out to me directly, I have my own website at conversationswithmercia.com. You can leave a voicemail, not for mental health stuff, just say hey, or if you have a question you want to ask. And I also, like I said, I email monthly journal prompts. I had stopped doing that for a little while. I needed to slow down. So self-care, us healers have to do it. And so I'm getting back on doing that monthly, as well as I send text out to help motivate.
Cool. I think that's it. That's all. We're about to get out of here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to thank you for coming and spending your time, your valuable time with us, because I know you have a schedule just like everybody else. And we definitely going to have you back.
I literally came in from yoga, teaching 3 yoga classes to firefighters. Always fun.
That's cool. I bet that's interesting.
Oh,
yeah. So we're going to get out of here. Hang on for just a minute. We're going to end the podcast portion as usual. Everybody, please go to www.relationshipgumbo.net and you can see the services I offer. You can see all the historical shows all in one place. And the podcast. Connectivity to the podcast is everywhere you can get a podcast, but you can also listen to it from the website. If you don't, dibble and dabble in the podcast world, you can still listen to the audio of all the shows. This show will be up Friday. I give myself some time. This show will be up Friday on the audio, so you can listen to it in your car, in your headphones, and all that good stuff. So we're going to get out of here. I thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great day. And the podcast portion is over. Anybody have any last comments? Because we're going to get out of here and let Marcia enjoy the rest of what's left of her night. Thank you, Michelle and Spin City for chiming in. I think, did I see somebody? Gemstone from YouTube said Marcia's dropping gems 5 minutes into the show. So, yeah, they love you. Jennifer Wright. Hey, Jennifer. She says, great show. So, yeah, we're going to keep, you and I both, we have our each collective, missions and purposes, but, a lot of this stuff crosses. So
I think the mission is
cross again and we'll talk. And, it's just, we're just going to keep giving you guys value. You guys follow her and follow me. And we, we're going to do our best and we're connected to other people. So it's not just, we're not, we're always self-promoting, but we also want you to get the help you want. And it may not be us. So if we can help you, guide you in a direction, so be it. Because I know even for myself and for a lot of people on here, it's a scary thing to share, period, to share anything. So I want you guys to feel safe. I do plan on having a show that I'm going to peg Marcia back on, that I'm going to have a panel of probably about 2 or 3 counselors and therapists, just so you guys can see their faces and see that it's not this big boogie monster that we think it is. Because we always, when you talk about therapy, we think of it like going to the doctor, like we're going into a doctor's office, and oh my gosh, like who wants to go to the dentist? and it's real people, that you connect to. It's not.
And we're coming in as ourselves. A therapist today, I saw her put a post up and she said her client was taking her braids out, and her client was like, excuse me, I gotta get these last few braids out. And the therapist was like, oh, good. Well, while you're doing that, I'm gonna get this last braid out I had in the back of my head. And they talk like we have to show up as ourselves. And that was one of the things I think a lot of therapists, we had to transition that when we were trained. It was like, we had to like, hello, and I'm Marcia. I am tatted up. Like, I have a tattoo here, on my arm. As you see, I cuss. Like, I work with service members for damn near 8 years. I now work with firefighters. I have to cuss. Like, if I didn't cuss, they'd probably be like, what's wrong with me?
I see you, Spin City. Spin City said, I'm in the dental field. But if people scared to come in there when you start messing around in their mouth, even though they're supposed to come and get them.
But it's funny. I love going to if I could go every month, I would. If my insurance would cover it, I'd be up there. I love the dentist.
Speak for yourself. So
I do. Like, I get in there, my blood pressure is up only because I'm like, yeah. They're like, why are you so excited? I'm like, I love the dentist.
Yeah, see, she said, damn right, they hate it. I know they do. We probably hated it since we was a little kid.
I've loved it since I was a kid.
Yes, you're a
unicorn. Afterwards, my dad is the same way. My daughter is the same way. It must be a Plater thing. That's my maiden name, Plater. Must be what can I say? But I also think, mental health has the whole stigma thing. But also, the worry is, will we understand? And so, I even say before you go to a therapist, have questions. Because when someone calls me, I ask questions like, what are you looking for? Because I want to make sure I know what I'm doing with them. If someone comes in with an eating disorder, I don't have a strong background in it. But luckily, I have colleagues who do, so I will work to an extent with them. As long as they understand, I'll be getting supervision. So I will be sharing a case. But if someone comes in with schizophrenia, I'm not going to work with that only because I don't have experience in working with that. So I would do them a disservice. So ask questions. I do trauma work. I don't advertise that a lot, but I do. My specialty is trauma. It started with children, and now, of course, service members and first responders. So I do trauma. I'm trained in it. I've trained in it for years, and still training it because there's always something new and better. And then I'll retake some of the trainings just so I can stay up on my skills. But ask about that. Also, feel the vibe for the therapist. Some people do want a clean cut therapist. They don't want. I've had someone come in, and I warned them in a phone call. I cuss. I talk about energy. I got crystals all over my office and energy healing and all that. So I tell them that. So when they start saying, "Well, no, I was looking for this kind of therapist," I'm like, "Ooh, that's not me." Or, "Well, I'd rather if you didn't cuss in session." See, I can't make any promises. That's why I warn you in the phone call. So just fill them out. You said what?
In the last comment, Spin City says, Marcia, you have lovely teeth, sis.
Thank you. and my next disappointment is until November. It sucks, but whatever.
She said, Spin City says you would be her ideal therapist.
Because I like dentists.
So we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for chiming in, sharing, and all that good stuff. And anybody who's listening on the replay, please come back. Please, if you have a comment, share it here. And we're going to put her, I'm going to try my best to put her. She said no because you cuss.
And I got a lot of laugh. Yes.
That's all it takes sometimes.
Sometimes it's just the right words aren't professional. Right words are just real. I get it. And I just realized there was a whole I could have been reading the comments over here. I was looking at private chat like, oh, he just sees it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get you acclimated with StreamYard sooner than you think.
Thank you, Miss Alicia.
So we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for coming. And you're gonna see Marcia anyway because she's gonna be out and about. She getting her new podcast name together, and we're gonna follow her, and we're gonna, I'm gonna be posting that too. So just stay connected. We're gonna put it, like I said, don't worry about her information. Say it again.
So the new name, I said I'll let them be the first ones to be privy to the new name. So it's gonna be called the Curbside Counselor.
See there, the Curbside Counselor. That's already connective tissue right there. That's for your comfortability, so you can come in and get the food you need. So we're gonna Spin City says Marcia is a first responder therapist too.
Yes, I work with EMT and firefighters, and now I work with veterans. Before that, I worked with the military. I worked with the National Guard, and before that, the Navy Reserves. And I'm married Air Force, so cool.
So we're gonna wrap it up again. We're gonna get out of here, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody wants good love. That's true. I I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the relationship gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy. Cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship